Hello, hi guys. This is CA Balakrishna from Lecturepedia.in. How are you? Hope you people are doing well. Even I am fantastic. Now, in the today's class, we will be revising peer review. As you all know, there are a lot of amendments in this peer review chapter for May 2023 examinations. This revision lecture will be entirely as per the amendments. I have covered even all the amendments that are applicable for May 2023 from peer review. Okay, and if you wanted to watch only amendments, I have also uploaded the amendment lecture of audit for May 2023 examinations. You can watch that amendment video as well. And coming to revision classes, almost all the chapters, revision of all the chapters from audit I have already uploaded. You can find them in the playlist. Now, without any waste of time, let us start the revision of peer review. What is this peer review? Generally, peer review means review of work done by a professional by another professional who is at the same standing. This is a simple understanding of peer review. Now, in this peer review, there will be certain terms that you have to understand. Firstly, you will be having a practicing unit. We will be calling it as PU. Practicing unit means audit firm. Now, this practicing unit has to be reviewed by a person known as peer reviewer. Peer reviewer will review this practicing unit, and there will be a board known as peer review board. This is the authority which will be governing this entire process of peer review. Hope this is clear. Now, there are certain objectives that has to be achieved by the peer reviewer. While peer reviewer is conducting a review of the audit firm, he has to ensure that the audit firm, while conducting assurance engagements, it has complied with all technical, professional and ethical standards. Along with these three, peer reviewer should also verify or review whether audit firm has also complied with audit quality maturity model. This is the amendment. This is recently introduced, wherein the peer reviewer has to review whether the practicing unit has complied with this audit quality maturity model. If you wanted to understand what is audit quality maturity model, I have explained it in detail in the amendment lecture. You can watch it. Now, another objective is the peer reviewer has to ensure whether the practicing unit is having proper systems to demonstrate quality of assurance service that they are providing. These two are the objectives of peer review. Now, what are the areas that will be verified in peer review? Generally, what is the scope of peer review? Basically, all the assurance engagements that have been conducted by the practicing unit during the period of review will be taken up for review. Okay, from these engagements, the peer reviewer will select some samples and those engagements will be reviewed by the peer reviewer. See, assurance engagement records related to period under review. Now, along with this, the peer reviewer will also check whether the practicing unit has complied with all technical, professional, ethical standards, TPE standards. He will also see whether systems and procedures are present or not. These two are the objectives only. In the objectives, we have discussed those 2 points. They will be covered even under the scope also. Next, the peer reviewer will verify whether proper training programs have been conducted for the staff who are associated with the assurance engagement. That will also be coming under scope of peer review. Next, The peer reviewer will also verify whether the audit firm, the practicing unit, is complying with the directions that have been given by the council with related to members, such as the amount of fees that has to be charged and the number of audit assignments that has to be accepted, and maintaining register of assignments that has been accepted. Like this, related to these aspects, certain guidelines will be issued by the council. Whether those guidelines are followed by the practicing unit or not, that has to be reviewed by the reviewer. And also the council will also be providing guidelines related to article staff, like the amount of stipend, work diaries that has to be maintained, attendance register that has to be maintained. Whether these guidelines related to article assistance is followed by the practicing unit or not, even that will be reviewed by the peer reviewer. And finally, peer reviewer also verify whether self-evaluation under audit quality maturity model has been done by the audit firm or not. I will just give you a brief idea of what this audit quality maturity model is. Basically, under this audit quality maturity model, there will be certain list of questions. Now, the audit firm, it has to ask those questions itself, and for each question there will be some marks. If audit firm has complied with that question, that marks will be allotted to the audit firm. If not complied, 0 marks will be allotted. This has to be self-evaluated by the audit firm itself. This audit quality maturity model is a self-evaluation tool. Like this, it has to obtain the amount of score that it has got by asking all these questions. Based on that score, it will have to evaluate itself. Okay, this is a brief idea of audit quality maturity model. Now, we have discussed that the practicing unit has to comply with all technical, professional, ethical standards. Now, what will be coming under this technical, professional and ethical standards? See, accounting standards that have been issued by ICAI, which are applicable to other than companies, they will be coming under TPE standards. Next, accounting standards under section 133 of the Companies Act, which are applicable to companies. In the same way, Indian accounting standards under section 133, which are applicable to companies. Next, framework for preparation and presentation of financial statements and preface to standards on quality control, auditing standards, review standards. Okay, preface to these standards will also be coming under TPE standards. Next, provisions of statutes applicable to specific engagement. Let's say you are doing audit of a bank, then the specific laws that are applicable to banking company will also be coming under technical, professional, ethical standards. In the same way, insurance companies example you can take. Next, standards such as engagement standards, quality control standards, statements that the ICAI issues. Actually, this earlier, before amendment, this peer review is a statement. Okay, statement on peer review. But after amendment, this peer review is not a statement. It is peer review guidelines. Okay, even guidance notes that the ICAI issues, even those will be coming under standards. And standards on internal audit and various guidelines, notifications, directions, announcements, pronouncements, standards issued from time to time by council or its committees. All these, they will be coming under technical, professional, ethical standards. And now recently through amendment, the miscellaneous the miscellaneous point is also introduced, wherein any other technical, professional, ethical standards issued by authority governing profession of CA, even those will be coming under technical, professional, ethical standards. You can say that as a miscellaneous point. Now, what will not be coming under assurance engagements? See, the peer reviewer will review only records that are related to assurance engagements carried on by the practicing unit. Now, here they have said that following will not be coming under assurance engagements. That means peer reviewer need not review records related to following assignments. What are those assignments? Let us see. Management consultancy engagements, representation before various authorities on behalf of client, and tax return and tax advisory services. Next, compilation of financial statements and engagement to assist the client in preparing and compiling information other than financial statement, and testifying as expert witness, providing expert opinion on point of principle such as accounting standards, whether any law is applicable to the company or not. Okay, providing advisory services related to that, even related to these aspects will not be coming under engagement, assurance engagement. Next, engagement of due diligence is also not a assurance engagement. That means the peer reviewer need not review records related to due diligence. In the same way, other services not prescribed as assurance service by the council, all this they will not be coming under the definition of assurance engagement, and the peer reviewer, he need not review records related to these engagements. Next, coming to the peer review board. First of all, who will constitute this peer review board? The council will constitute a peer review board. How many members must be present in the peer review board? There should be minimum 6 members and maximum 12 members. Of these members, not less than 50% of the members must be members of the council. That means at least 50% of members of this peer review board must be selected from the council members. Okay, council members, minimum 6, maximum 12, and chairman and vice chairman of the peer review board will be appointed by council, and term of these members of peer review board shall be 3 years or their term in the council, whichever is earlier. Next, another important point that you have to remember is, you can star mark it, member of disciplinary committee or disciplinary board should not be appointed as member of peer review board. This is the important point. MCQ might be asked on this. And next, time, place and quorum related to meetings of the peer review board will be governed by chartered accountant regulations. And finally, if there is any casual vacancy in the peer review board, it will be filled by council. Okay, next, now in order to appoint a particular person as a peer reviewer, there are certain eligibility criteria that has to be satisfied by that person. What are they? First one, he should be member in practice with at least 7 years of assurance experience. Okay, not audit experience. Earlier it was audit experience, now it has been changed to assurance experience. Now, if the member has moved from industry to practice, in that case he should be having experience of at least 10 years in industry in the area of audit, and also 3 years in practice in the area of audit. This is the situation if he has moved from industry to practice, that means employment to practice. Next, he should have undergone the training that is specified by peer review board, and he should also qualify the examination that will be conducted by the peer review board. And while he is being appointed, the peer review board will ask for certain declarations. Those declarations has to be submitted, and also after appointing him as a peer reviewer of any practicing unit, he has to submit declaration of confidentiality to the practicing unit. Even those declarations he has to submit. Now, not eligible. A person will not be eligible if, in case of following situations. What are they? If there are any disciplinary proceedings pending against such person, he will not be eligible to be appointed as peer reviewer. Next, if he is found guilty of any professional or other misconduct, even in that case he cannot be appointed as a peer reviewer. Next, if he is convicted in a court of offence, whether in India or outside India, and he has given a punishment with imprisonment, even in that case he cannot be appointed as a peer reviewer. See, these are lifetime disqualifications. Once any of this disqualification is attached, he cannot be appointed as peer reviewer for lifetime. Next, he or his partners have any obligation or conflict of interest in the practicing unit. Okay, that has to be reviewed. If he or his partner is having any interest in the practicing unit, then that person cannot be appointed as a reviewer of the practicing unit. And also, if in the past this person has done any training or articleship with any of the partner of the practicing unit, then this person cannot be appointed as a peer reviewer of that practicing unit with whom he has done his articleship or any training. And another important point is, he should not have, the person whom you are going to appoint as a peer reviewer should not have accepted any assignment from the practicing unit for past 2 years, okay, before appointing him as a peer reviewer, and also for next 2 years after appointing him as a peer reviewer. Hope this is clear. Past 2 years, next 2 years, he cannot accept any assignment from that practicing unit. That is the eligibility of a peer reviewer. Next, applicability of peer review. Earlier we were having level 1 and level 2 firms with regard to applicability of a peer review, but now that level 1, level 2 is not there. Applicability of peer review you can bifurcate into 3 parts. First one is mandatory applicability. The peer review board in these guidelines, it has issued a peer review mandate. All the audit firms that are specified in this peer review mandate, they have to mandatorily get their practicing unit peer reviewed. There are various dates given for each of the firm that we will be discussing in peer review mandate. That is the first case. Next one is voluntary peer review. Your firm is not required to get peer reviewed as per the peer review mandate, but voluntarily you wanted to get yourself peer reviewed, so you can apply under this point. Next, special case. If peer review board receives any request from ICAI or disciplinary directorate or any other regulator, based on that request, the peer review board can conduct the peer review of any of the practicing unit. That will be coming under special case. Hope this is clear. Now coming to peer review mandate. See, all the audit firms that are conducting audits of statutory audits of listed entities must mandatorily get themselves peer reviewed from 1st April 2022. However, for audit firms which are conducting peer review, audit firms which are conducting audit of listed entities, for them, even before this peer review guidelines came, SEBI has mandated for those audit firms to get peer review mandatorily. Next, audit firms which wanted to take up audit of unlisted public companies having paid up share capital of not less than 500 crores or turnover of not less than 1000 crores or outstanding borrowings of not less than 500 crores. If any audit firm wanted to take up audit of any of this unlisted public company falling in this criteria, then it has to mandatorily from 1st April 2022 get itself peer reviewed. Only after having a peer review certificate it can take up these type of audits from 1st April 2023. Next, entities who have raised funds from public or banks or any financial institutions of amount more than 50 crores. If you wanted to take up audit of any of these entities, then from 1st April 2024 there should be mandatorily peer review certificate with you. Only then you can accept. And finally, if you wanted to conduct a branch audit of a bank, then from 1st April 2025 you should mandatorily have a peer review certificate. Hope this is clear. Next, based on number of partners. Firstly, we have discussed applicability of peer review as per the client that you are auditing. Now, based on number of partners that are present in your audit firm, the applicability of peer review. See, if your firm is having 5 or more partners, then from 1st April 2023 peer review is mandatory. If your firm is having 4 or more partners, from 1st April 2024 peer review is mandatory. If your firm is having 3 or more partners, then from 1st April 2025 peer review is mandatory. Next, declaration of confidentiality. See, all the people who are associated with this process of peer review, they have to maintain confidentiality. Now the peer reviewer and his staff, they have to submit a declaration of confidentiality to the practicing unit. This has to be submitted in form 2. See, peer reviewer and his staff must submit declaration of confidentiality to the practicing unit. Next, members of peer review board and secretary of peer review board, they have to submit declaration of confidentiality to the peer review board. Hope this is clear. See, members of peer review board and secretary in form 4, they have to submit declaration of confidentiality to the peer review board, and peer reviewer has to submit declaration of confidentiality to the practicing unit. Next, as usual, all the persons governed by these confidentiality provisions, they have to preserve secrecy with respect to matters arising in the process of peer review, and peer reviewer should not use this information or should not disclose this information that is present in the peer review report except as required by board or council. Those are confidentiality provisions. Next, coming to peer review process. Basically, here in this peer review process, the timelines have been changed. Let us see. First, initiation of peer review. First of all, practice unit, it can suo motu make an application to peer review board, and application, it has to be made along with the questionnaire in form 1, or the peer review board itself can request the practicing unit to submit the application. Okay, suo motu or on request of board, the practicing unit will make application come questionnaire in form 1 to the board. Once application is received, board shall within 3 days recommend 3 names to practicing unit. Once 3 names have been, 3 names of peer reviewers, proposed peer reviewers has to be recommended to practicing unit. Then within 1 day of receipt of such recommendation, the practicing unit has to select 1 name and intimate it to the board, and board will appoint such same person as a peer reviewer of the practicing unit. Now within 2 days of such appointment, the peer reviewer shall submit declaration of confidentiality to whom? To practicing unit in form number 2. And also within 2 days of appointment of such a peer reviewer, the practicing unit shall provide application come questionnaire in form 1 to the reviewer. The practicing unit at the starting stage, it has made application and questionnaire to the peer review board. That same application and questionnaire, it should be now given to peer reviewer also for his reference. Okay, that is initiation of peer review. Next, procedure to be followed by peer reviewer. First of all, once he has been appointed as a peer reviewer, he has to submit declaration of confidentiality. Then if he has to submit declaration of confidentiality, and he will receive the application and questionnaire that is given by the practicing unit. After seeing that information, if he feels that any additional information is required from the practicing unit, he can seek additional information in form 6 from the practicing unit. After receiving such additional information, he has to select samples and intimate to practicing unit and board in form number 5. Okay, from all the assurance engagements that have been conducted by the practicing unit during the year, he has to select the samples. Okay, which engagement will be reviewed by the peer reviewer, and he has to communicate this sample sample name of engagements to the practicing unit and also to the peer review board in form number 5. And after communicating these samples, peer reviewer shall give at least 2 days time to the practicing unit to arrange records related to those engagements and plan for on-site review. And peer reviewer and the practicing unit, based on mutual communication, they have to ensure that the entire review process is completed within a period of 20 days from the date of making application by the practicing unit. Now the time to complete the peer review process is 20 days. Earlier it was 60 days. Next, coming to the execution stage. First of all, The peer reviewer, after giving the sample and giving the sample to the practicing unit, after 2 days he will do a on-site review, and this on-site review should not extend beyond 6 days. Earlier it was 7 days, now it is 6 days. And he will perform compliance review of general controls, like whether practicing unit is having independence while conducting the audit, and whether they are having proper professional skills, and what are the policies related to staff recruitment and office administration related aspects will be reviewed by the peer reviewer. And then he will select assurance engagements for review. He will review the records either following compliance approach or substantive approach, or both together. This is the execution stage. Finally, reporting by the peer reviewer. Now he has conducted the peer review. At last, if in the opinion of peer reviewer he feels that practicing unit has adequate systems, then he will submit a report, unqualified report, along with form 9 to board, and a copy of the same will be forwarded to practicing unit also. Next, if in the opinion of peer reviewer practicing unit has deficient systems, then he will seek additional information, additional clarifications from the practicing unit. Okay, and the practicing unit, it has to submit its reply within 2 days. We will be calling it as preliminary report. Okay, if peer reviewer is not satisfied with the systems of the practicing unit, then he will issue a preliminary report to the practicing unit, and he will ask for the reply of the practicing unit on the same. The practicing unit has to reply back within 2 days. Now, if the peer reviewer is satisfied with the replies that have been given by the practicing unit, in that case he will submit unqualified report along with form 9 to the board, and a copy will also be forwarded to the practicing unit. If peer reviewer is not satisfied with the reply that has been given by the practicing unit, in that case he will submit qualified report along with form 9 to the board, and also he will forward a copy of the same to the practicing unit. Hope this is clear. Next, now to this report of the peer reviewer, certain attachments has to be attached. What are those attachments? There are 4 types of attachments. Firstly, if the peer review board has prescribed any annexures, then those annexures must be attached to the peer review report. Next, copy of questionnaire received from the practicing unit. At the stage of initiation, the practicing unit has given certain questionnaire to the peer reviewer. Even that questionnaire has to be attached. Next, list of samples that the peer reviewer has selected. Even that list has to be attached to the peer review report. Next, preliminary report, if any, along with the practicing unit's submissions. If the peer reviewer has not satisfied with the systems of the practicing unit, then he would have issued a preliminary report, and for that preliminary report, practicing unit would have given some replies. Even that preliminary report and the replies given by the practicing unit should be attached to the peer review report. Hope this is clear. Next, review of report that has been submitted by the peer reviewer by peer review board secretariat. See, the peer review board secretary must ensure that report is attached with all the required attachments. Okay, after ensuring this, he will place this peer review report before the peer review board for issuing peer review certificate. Place all reports before peer review board or the subcommittee for issue of certificate. In case qualified report has been given by the peer reviewer, then board may decide for conducting a follow-on review after a period of 1 year. Okay, and this period of 1 year can be reduced to a maximum of 6 months. Hope this is clear. Next, and the validity of the peer review certificate will be 3 years. Next, there is a new concept of peer review of new units. First of all, we will see what is this definition of new unit. In order to call any practicing unit as a new unit, see, if the practicing unit is in existence for less than 12 months if that practicing unit is in existence for more than 12 months. Firstly, if the practicing unit is in existence for less than 12 months, to call it as a new unit, that practicing unit may or may not have rendered any assurance services. Okay, even though practicing unit is rendering assurance services or not rendering assurance services, since it is in existence for less than 12 months as on the date of application, it will be treated as a new unit. Now coming to, if practicing unit is in existence for more than 12 months as on the date of application that is being made to the peer review board, to call that type of practicing unit as a new unit, the condition is that it should not have taken up any assurance engagements. See, must not have rendered any assurance services. If it has conducted any assurance services, then it will not be treated as a new unit because it is in existence for more than 12 months. Hope this is clear. And in case of peer review of a new unit, the on-site review has to be completed within 1 day. Only 1 day time will be given. For regular peer review, 6 days time will be given for on-site review, but here only 1 day. And the entire peer review process of the new unit has to be conducted within 7 days. Hope this is clear. For normal peer review, it is 20 days. For new units, it is 7 days only. Hope this is clear. This is the entire revision of peer review, and hope this revision class will be useful to you. And if you want to purchase classes, you can visit our website lecturepedia.in and you can place your order. Okay, take care, bye bye, see you.